All right, I'm live. Everybody for business studies, can you see my screen? Okay, good. Now, here's your business studies. Let's quickly write. I think I'm live. Let me make sure that I'm live. 3, 2, 1. Okay. So we're doing the back to front approach, and I'm going to be moving extremely fast. So try to move with me, and let's enjoy IGCSE business studies. It has 6 chapters, so I'm going to make sure you finish chapters very fast. Okay, we have to do. We have 3 months, and the 4th month is for revision. So if we have 3 months, we have to do 2 chapters a month. Uh, that means every 2 weeks you need to finish a chapter, right? We can finish in less, but we'll try. 2 weeks is 6 lessons, so that's very easy. A chapter in 6 lessons. Honestly, we can do it in no time. So let's try to. Are you ready? Students, can you all hear me? All right, good. So business studies is 6 chapters. We are doing back to front. Let's move as fast as we can. Today we are doing the last chapter, which is chapter 6. Can you all write chapter 6? Then we'll move back to the others until we're fine. So if you can see the chapters that we're going to do, I'm going to do a chapter that links with accounts and makes everything much easier. It's chapter 5. We're going to do it next after this one. It's a bit of accounting, so for those who do accounts, it's nicer. For those who don't, it's still fine. I'm going to tell you everything. But here's the chapter 6. The chapter 6 is called external influences. It's called external influences on business activity. I think I kind of talked about it last time. Let's see how we're going to do it. Write with me important notes that we're going to use to answer a lot of questions. Okay, external influences on business activity. Are you ready? Everybody? Yes. Write with me to say external influences on business activity. Then we're going to go through each and everything nice, fast, and I'll make sure you understand every word there. Okay? All right. Let's do. The first thing we're going to talk about is first thing. Okay? The first thing we're going to talk about, part 1, is the business cycle. We're going through chapter 6, which is the external influences to business activity. And the first thing we're talking about is the business cycle. I'll try to explain very little so that we can move. Some of the things I'll explain as I'm writing, so you'll be fine. So what do we mean when we say the business cycle? Okay? When we say business cycle, I want you to know this, that businesses are not the same. Over time, businesses, they go through ups and downs. Okay, so we are going to see the stages of the business, the cycles that a business goes through, where things are very good, with this rapid economic growth, okay, and then you have very high profits and stuff. But that's not always what happens. There are ups and downs in the economic activity of a business. Remember, for business studies, we're looking at a business, and there are things that are going to be affecting the decisions. There are things that are going to be affecting, okay, how we want to see how do the different things outside the business affect a business. Government influences, how do they affect the business, right? How do the government influences affect the business? Okay, how does globalization affect a lot of the things? Legal constraints. So let's go through it. So business cycle, I want you to know this, to say the business cycle, everybody, you should write this one time. The business cycle refers to the fluctuations, okay, which means ups and downs in economic activity. over time. We know that when we say economic activity, we're just saying in money. Fluctuations in GDP. So write this in economic activity. I want you to say here to say economic activity. When we say economic activity is measured using GDP. We'll talk about it in the lesson. Gross in this chapter. Gross domestic product. I don't know if we'll get to it. We may not. So gross domestic. So economic activity is going to be measured using GDP, and we're going to see how it changes over time. So that's just what we're saying. The business goes through cycles. Any business goes through cycles where the economic activity goes through ups and downs. Okay? So write with me to say here, economies do not grow at a constant rate. And likewise, businesses don't always grow at a constant rate. So economies have periods. They have periods of growth, and economies have periods of decline. From today onwards, you must know that economies don't grow at a constant rate. So we are throwing away things you thought economies grow at a constant rate. Now we are telling you, no, my friend, that's not what happens. So right here to say, economies move through periods of growth and periods of decline. Really? Yes. Economies move through this? Yes. And that affects the business. So there's going to be an impact. So let's see here. We're going to be looking at, when we say the stages of the business cycle, it's actually we're looking at the stages of the cycle of the economy. And then we'll see how it affects the business. Okay? Are we together? So the fluctuations in GDP, they affect the business. We'll see the impact on the business. Are you ready? So let's write to say stages of the business cycle. We want to see the stages of growth and the stages of decline. Stages of the economic cycle. Okay? So we'll say here stage. Then here we'll say meaning, so that you know what happens at each stage. Then here we'll say business impact. How does that impact the business? You must know these stages. Okay? As a business studies student, you must know all of these stages. Let's put the 5 stages. Okay? Stage 1 is going to be growth. What happened in growth? The GDP is increasing. Remember, we said economic activity fluctuates, and we said economic activity is measured using GDP. So GDP fluctuates. GDP fluctuates. When GDP increases, the business goes through growth. Okay, what happens here? You're going to have sales and profits rising. Okay, you're going to have, the business will have more sales and the business will have high profits. 2, then we have the boom phase of an economy. What happens here? There is rapid economic growth. Rapid economic growth. And what happens here? There is going to be very high profits. So there will be now high profits and high demand. High profits and high demand in boom. Are we together? Then 3, there is now recession. After boom, yes. So in the growth stage, things are rising. You don't use the word high. You say things are rising. The GDP is increasing. The sales are rising. The profits are rising. When you go to the boom stage, there's a rapid growth and you start having high things, high profits, high sales, a high volume of sales. Are we together? Now, here for recession, when we say we have a recession, it means the GDP falls for two consecutive quarters. If the GDP is falls for two consecutive quarters, then it's the economy is going through a recession. And what will happen? Sales and profits fall. Are we together? Business owners, are we together? Yes, if the economy is going through a recession, the sales will fall. Then now 4 is slump. Woo, things are bad. Then there will be recovery. So if we start with slump, this is long period of economic decline. Long period of economic decline is the slump. Okay, what will happen? The sales are not falling, the profits are not falling, but they've fallen. They have fallen for a while now. So now people have been let go from work, and now there is high unemployment. Okay, and high and business failures. Businesses are failing. This is what happens at this stage. Then after the slump stage, now there is the recovery stage. So I want you to know that growth and boom go hand in hand, recession and slump go hand in hand. Growth is when things are rising. Boom is rapid growth. Okay, and you'll be having high things, high profits, high demand. Recession, growth is when things were increasing. Recession is when the GDP is decreasing or falling for 2 consecutive quarters. What happens? The sales and the profits fall. But now when you get to slump, they are low for a long period. And you start to have a high unemployment and you start to have business failures. In recovery, it means the economy starts improving. The economy starts. So, the most important statement of the day: economies do not grow at a constant rate. They can go through different phases, they can go through different stages of the cycle. Are we together? Economies do not grow at a constant rate. Hey, what did you learn today? What is an important statement from today? Economies do not grow at a constant rate. So if you say here, what happens in here? Demand begins to rise again. The demand begins to rise again. Rising and being high is different. It's rising. Are we together? So, how does the economy, the business cycle? So, business cycle flow is going to be growth phase, boom phase, recession phase, slump phase, recovery recovery stage, and back to growth. The cycle repeats over time. Are we together? Have you understood this? Students, Antonisha, have you seen this? Economies just don't grow. If you're putting it on a diagram, you can put it like this on a graph. Mm. Constant growth. Then it gets to the boom phase where things are at their best. This is growth. Boom, things are high. Then there is downturn for the first quarter. Then if it continues decreasing for the second quarter, we now say, aha, this is now a recession. Okay, there is a recession. Then it gets into the lowest thing, which we call a slump. Slump is also called depression. So this is slump or depression. Things are at their lowest. Then here, this is now recovery. Then it keeps recovering. What it gets constant like this, you are at the growth stage again. And it will bend and do exactly what happened again. So this is what happened. Okay? This is recession. This, we call it downturn. If things continue getting bad, we say recession. Right. I want you to know that 1 quarter in business is 3 months. We all know that. A year is 12, so a quarter is 3 months. So 1 quarter is equal to 3 months. So for a recession, we said it happens for 2 quarters, which means 6 months. If the economy is declining or is going down for 6 months, when you have negative GDP for 6 months, okay, so you can say here 0. This is positive GDP. This is negative. Okay, negative GDP just is the gradient. The gradient. It's more that what represents GDP. This is time. And we're seeing the change. This is positive. This is negative. So this is an economy. Are you all seeing what happens in an economy? Hello. Can you all see? Now, and we've seen how all this affects the business. We're seeing how all this affects the business. We said what will be happening to the business here. There'll be rise. Your profits are rising. When it's at the boom stage, it's at the best. You have high profits. You have high demand. It's not that they're rising; they are high. Recession, they start to go down. Slump, they are at their lowest. Recovery, they start to rise again. In recovery. Okay? Now let's get to part 2. Talk about GDP. Gross domestic products. Gross domestic product. The GDP. Right. What does this represent? We know that it is the one that gives value to economic activity. Economic activity is measured by GDP. So, okay, what is this? Is it time up? Let me see. No, it's not. Okay, still have 14 minutes. So, what is GDP? GDP, which is gross domestic product, is the total value of goods and services that are produced within a country. And I want you to say during a period of time. So, friends, you can't solely focus on your business and ignore the economy. The economy affects your business because it affects the people that buy from your business. Are we together? Students? So when you are looking at the gross domestic product, you're looking at the total value of goods that are produced in the country. This is important. If GDP increases, then businesses will sell more. If GDP increases, then there will be more jobs. If there are more jobs, more people will have money, more people will buy. The income increases of households, which means they will now have more disposable income, which means they will have money to come and buy after paying their bills. They will have more money. So GDP is how effective is this country we are looking at? We are looking at this country, whatever country you're looking at. How effective is it? You look at all that it's doing to generate money for itself. What is this country producing? And when we say what is it producing, we don't just mean goods. Services are part of production. You can also see this in economics. Services are part of production. Giving a haircut is a service. Tourism is a service. All these things, if they are given, what is the total value of all these things that are being done in this country? That is the GDP, the total value of goods and services produced within a country. And you look at a period of time, over a period of time. Are we together? And I want you to say that, so we are looking at how is this country performing, or it's not performing? Does it have many activities, many services? Oh, if you want to go for something surgery, go to Hong Kong or go to Singapore. That's part of its GDP. This country is performing well economically. It has a high GDP. It produces phones like Japan. It produces cars. It produces this, and it also has many services. Huh? You can go to Japan to learn this. You can go for tourism. You can go for this. All those services that are special in Japan or specific to Japan, those are part of its GDP. So you can look for countries with the highest GDP. These are productive countries. They produce a lot of goods and they offer a lot of services that people go to that country for. So GDP is one of the most, don't fail to define what you know just because it's a word. You know what GDP is? The total value of goods and services that are being provided or produced by a country. Are services part of production? Yes. So the total value of all the things that are being produced by a country over time, that's GDP. That's simple. Now, GDP, write this. GDP is one of the most important measures of economic economic performance. GDP is one of the most important measures of economic performance. Here is why. GDP will affect everything. When GDP increases, that means the country is productive. It's doing a lot. It's bringing a lot of money. When GDP increases, one, businesses sell more because the people have money. There's a lot of money in the country, in the economy. More jobs are created. Make no mistake about that. Businesses will sell more. If the country is effective, then all the businesses running in that country are successful. They have good sales. If GDP increases, household incomes rise. If GDP increases, consumer spending increases. You can go to certain countries where you cannot afford to hold anything, any show or whatever, agricultural show or things that are for young people to learn, expos and things where they can pay, or shows where they can pay. Some of them, you can go to countries where the young people, there's high unemployment. There's that. So because of that, that means the consumer spending is not high. Businesses don't sell much. You see? But if the GDP of a country increases, these people start to get employed because there are opportunities, there are job opportunities everywhere. They are either in the production of goods or production of services, provision of services. Hmm? Good. Okay? So, are we together? Yes. So, for businesses, they sell more, which means they get higher profits, higher sales, and profits. Okay? What about consumers? Consumer spending increases because there is higher income. So, higher income leads to increase in consumer spending. More jobs are created for workers. Workers have more jobs. Whew, this is so important. Yeah. So a country should be very productive. Yes. It will, when a country is very productive, it will be able to help its own people. Yes. For the governments are also successful because they get more money from taxes. They get more tax revenue. Are we together? They get more money from taxes because more people are working. So if more people are employed, the government will be, because everyone who is employed pays tax. 25% of whatever percentage. 25% is usually for businesses, but for individuals they can pay 12% tax or whatever percent, 8% tax or whatever. To mean, when you get a salary, a part of your salary automatically does not get to you. The moment it gets into your account, the government takes it immediately. Okay? Because you'll be registered for tax. So the government will take it and it will use it. That's how all governments operate. You should know it as you're growing up, that not all your money you get will be yours. Some will go to taxes. Now, if more people are employed, the government will be getting more money from taxes. Are we together? But here, what are the effects of a falling GDP? So this is a rising, you can say these are effects of a rising GDP. Then here I want you to say, when GDP decreases, what do we see? Want to see effects of falling GDP. What are the effects of a falling GDP? Number one, consumers spend less. Consumers spend less because they have lower incomes. Consumers spend less because they are lower incomes. Workers do not have job security. Workers workers don't have job security. Are we together? Workers don't have job security when the GDP falls. You have a job today, you have no job tomorrow because the company is struggling. So workers don't have job security. What they have will be called job insecurity. Businesses have lower sales. So of course they cannot employ as much. Okay? Less sales, less profits. Businesses are not making many. Everybody's crying. Hey, nowadays it's hard. Hey, nowadays it's hard. They can no longer enjoy like they used to. They can no longer take the employees on holidays for team bonding. All these things they can't because the profits are small. So the businesses are just running, but they're not running as successful as they would. People cannot travel at the end of the year to go out of the country for tourism, for everything. They can't. This is all because of low GDP in a country. This country is not productive. Their industry does not produce a lot. They don't have many services being offered. You understand? Are we together? Yes. But when you increase the number of services, more things can be done in this country. A lot of things. Huh? You have you have many parks, different types of parks. You have places where this can be fixed, places where phones can be fixed, phones are produced, places where people can be taught how to do this, places where people can be taught how to ski, people can be taught how to many services. People can be given different types of services. Then you are having a higher GDP. Now, if there is a falling GDP, then the governments, this is very true, get lower tax revenue. The government will no longer have money. It cannot have good public services because it doesn't have money. It can't afford to have very good, high quality hospitals, very good, high quality schools where things are maintained well, teachers are paid well, the chairs are new, the boards are nice. There are a lot of textbooks for everyone. It doesn't have it. No, those things are no longer there because the government has lower tax revenue, and all this is because the GDP has fallen. The country as a whole is not producing much. So GDP is very, very important. Are we together? We'll talk about recession and slump and all these things, and we'll move more and more and more, and we'll see how unemployment is there at different stages. During recession and slump, how is it? Then unemployment, is it there during growth and boom? Do we have it? What will be happening during growth and boom? We'll talk about it in terms of employment. Then we'll look at the word inflation. We'll look at the word inflation. And then when we're done with this, we can now start to look at the objectives of a government. What are the government objectives and how do they affect a business? And we'll be done. So we have to move very fast, okay? I'll meet you the next topic. We know that we have 6 lessons to finish a chapter. So we'll see. Within 6 lessons, we should be done with chapter 6, but we hope to finish in less. This is the first lesson that is done. So this is day 1 for our chapter 6. Okay? We are on target. Do not panic. Everything is fine. Our goal is by September we must be done. That is the goal. Remember that By September, we must be done with everything, so we are on track. Do not panic. Let me take this attendance for business studies, which is important. Well done, everybody. This is it for day one. Now it is time for geography. So those who don't do geography are